The footage was raw, unfiltered, and brimming with tension, the kind of clip that makes the rounds on social media before ESPN even has time to spin it. Patrick Mahomes, the NFL's golden boy, and Stephen A. Smith, the outspoken voice of sports media, caught in a verbal firefight that seemed to erupt out of nowhere. But for those who have followed their complicated history, this wasn't an explosion without warning. This was the culmination of years of jabs, doubts, praise, and cutting remarks, an inevitable collision between the leagues. Most celebrated quarterback and the commentator who refuses to bend to public adoration. It all traces back to February 2025 Super Bowl week. The Kansas City Chiefs were chasing history, aiming for an unprecedented three-peat that would elevate Mahomes from superstar to untouchable legend. The narrative was clear: this was his coronation. He'd never lost a division title, had made the AFC Championship every year as a starter, and had already built a resume that analysts said could rival Tom Brady's. Even Stephen A., who, for years had been slow to heap praise on Mahomes, began hinting that the GOAT crown could be within reach. But praise from Stephen A. Smith is never without an asterisk. And the same man who once refused to anoint Mahomes after 2 good games was still ready to pounce if the moment turned sour. And sour it did spectacularly. On February 9th, under the bright lights of the Caesars Superdome, the Philadelphia Eagles dismantled the Chiefs in a way no one saw coming. The final score of 42-22 wasn't just a loss, it was a humiliation. Mahomes was visibly rattled, throwing 2 interceptions, including a soul-crushing pick-six. In the first half, he managed only 33 passing yards, a number so shockingly low it became a talking point across every sports desk in America. This was supposed to be the night he cemented his legacy, yet by halftime, the narrative was unraveling. The very next morning, Stephen A. unloaded. On first take, his voice rose, his eyes narrowed, and his words cut with surgical precision. He didn't just say, Mahomes played poorly. He painted a picture of a demoralized, hopeless figure who looked entirely out of his depth. In a single segment, Stephen A. seemed to close the book on the Mahomes-GOAT debate, declaring Brady's supremacy and framing Mahomes as a great talent who had failed when it mattered most. It was brutal, it was unrelenting, and it was vintage Stephen A. the kind of take that sticks in the public consciousness long after the show ends. But this clash wasn't born overnight.
Stephen A.
Skepticism toward Mahomes has been a recurring theme since the quarterback's breakout in 2018, while others gushed over no-look passes and gaudy stat lines. Stephen A. demanded proof against elite defenses. Even in moments of praise, there was always a cautious edge. This was the same analyst who once sarcastically congratulated Mahomes for being better than Mr. Pedestrian Alex Smith, mocking the media's rush to crown him. And while Mahomes's talent often won him temporary approval, it never seemed to last one-off game. One bad moment and Stephen A. would be there, ready to remind everyone of the gaps in his resume. One of those moments came long before the Super Bowl collapsed December 10th, 2023. When the Chiefs fell to the Buffalo Bills in a crushing 20-17 loss. A controversial offsides call wiped away what should have been a game-winning touchdown, and Mahomes, in a rare display of fury, exploded on the sidelines. He slammed his helmet, shouted at officials, and even had a tense exchange with Josh Allen. After the game, the next day, Stephen A. called him out, not just for losing his cool, but for setting a bad example. While Mahomes later admitted he regretted his behavior, incident added another bullet point to Stephen A.'s growing list of critiques. This is the pattern. Mahomes reaches a new height. Stephen A. acknowledges it, but with reservations. Then comes the stumble, a loss, an interception. Sideline blow-up, and Stephen A. seizes on it as proof that the coronation is premature. It's a cycle that has made their dynamic one of the most compelling in modern sports commentary, and it's not just Mahomes. Stephen A.'s entire career has been defined by high-profile battles with NFL stars. His infamous stay-off-the-weed rants targeted everyone from Josh Gordon to Le'Veon Bell, cementing his reputation as the league's moral watchdog. His scathing critiques of Deshaun Watson blended on-field criticism with pointed commentary. On off-field allegations, venturing into territory most commentators avoid, He's dismantled reputations with the same theatrical delivery that has made him a cultural icon, and the players, whether they admit it or not, are listening. That's what makes the current Mahomes saga so combustible. This isn't a one-off hot take. It's the newest chapter in Stephen A's long-standing mission to hold superstars to impossible standards. And for Mahomes, that means every throw, every press conference, every playoff game is subject to a level of scrutiny few athletes ever endure. When he wins, it's acknowledgement with conditions. When he loses, it's an autopsy on his greatness. Now, the viral footage of their heated exchange making the rounds, it's clear this feud has entered a new phase. It's no longer just Stephen A speaking from the safety of the studio, or Mahomes brushing off criticism in pressers. It's face-to-face, eye-to-eye, raw emotion spilling into the public sphere, and the sports world can't look away. If history is any guide, this won't be the end. Stephen A has a long memory and an even longer platform. Mahomes has the talent and competitive fire to prove him wrong, but that will only make Stephen A sharpen his critiques further. For fans, it's a spectacle of rivalry, not on the field, but in the arena of words, where legacy is debated as fiercely as any championship. And so the question lingers, is this the spark that will push Mahomes to silence his loudest critic once and for all? Or will Stephen A's voice echo through every misstep in his career? One thing is certain, this battle is far from over. Every NFL Sunday just got a little more interesting. If you're following this drama as closely as we are, hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives, and tell us in the comments whose side are you on? Stephen A holding Mahomes to the highest standard, or Mahomes still building a legacy under the brightest lights imaginable?